app. Back here, first things first, with former quarterback Michael Vick talking current quarterbacks Tom Brady and Cam Newton. Brady arrived at the Bucs facility yesterday for the first time, just a day after we saw Cam show up at Boston Logan up in New England. Michael, both guys going into the season with ridiculously high expectations. So, assuming Cam is your quarterback there, who do you think has the better start to their season, Tom Brady or Cam Newton?
I would have to say Cam Newton. Cam is not playing in the strongest division right now. The Buffalo Bills being the toughest opponent. And then you got Tua in Miami, young guy trying to find his way. It's going to be a process. And then you got Sam Darnold still trying to prove, his worth. So depending on how the schedule is configured, Tom Brady can get off to the best start. Cam Newton can get off to the best start, Tom Brady, on the other hand, a tougher division. The NFC South, having to face, Hall of Famers, future Hall of Famers like Matt Ryan and Drew Brees, and then Teddy Bridgewater being in North Carolina now, they're going to be able to compete. So I haven't had the chance to look at the schedule, but I know for sure that the NFC South is going to be tougher than the AFC East. So if Cam can get off to a hot start, he can put his team in a position to make a playoff run if he's behind the center week 1. It always remains to be seen.
Well, a couple things. One is major congratulations to Matt Ryan, who Mike Vick just called a future Hall of Famer. That's maybe a discussion for another day.
Oh, no doubt.
But that's news maybe to people outside of the Ryan family. But listen, here's why Mike is right. Schedule, independent of the schedule, here's why Michael's right. 12 years. The theme of today's show might be ages. 12 years. That's the gap between Cam Newton and Tom Brady. For some context there, that's almost the exact same gap between Tom Brady and Vinny Testaverde. Tom Brady is closer in age to our colleague Troy Aikman than he is Cam Newton. Tom Brady is 3 years older than our colleague Mike Vick, who's now breaking down quarterbacks instead of talking about quarterbacks. Cam, on the other hand, is at age 31, should be in his athletic prime. And I am going to continue to remind people of this because folks just want to act like it didn't happen. When people are discussing Cam in a negative light, what they say is, well, if he can be who he was in 2015, as if that was the last time we saw that level of player. It's not. The last time we saw him healthy, which was the first 8 games of the 2018 season with a new throwing motion, he was still that level athlete, plus 19 touchdowns, 4 picks, highest career completion percentage, passer rating around 100 for a team that was 6-2. So at age 31, there is no reason to believe Cam is on the downside. There's reason to believe he suffered 2 totally unrelated injuries, a torn up shoulder and a broken foot. Brady, on the other hand, whilst we saw him that he is clearly on the downside, and he's going to be the oldest full-time starting quarterback we have seen in 70 years in the NFL. So I expect Cam to have a better start than Tom, a better middle than Tom, and a better finish than Tom. Kevin Wilds.
Okay, so for viewers at home, if you're keeping track on your Nick Wright scorecard, LeBron's gray beard makes him better, but Tom Brady being old makes him worse. Just for the record, right, Nick?
LeBron's 35. Brady's 43. LeBron is just coming off a season where he almost won MVP. Brady's coming off losing.
We should have kept it rhetoric, Wilds.
I'm sorry,
Keep those things rhetoric.
Pick 6 to the Titans. Go ahead.
Come on, you know better than that, Wilds. You know better than that.
Brady grew a big beard. It's the key is the beard. I'm sorry. If we can put up the schedule, I wanted to ask Mike a question. Look, the Bucs have to go into New Orleans week 1. Tough one. No preseason. I think Brady loses that game. Meanwhile, if we've got Tua coming to Foxborough, Bill Belichick is 12-0 against rookie quarterbacks. So, Mike, here's the question. Those next 3 games, at Seattle, at Kansas City, do you think that Cam needs or confidence for Cam in the Patriots system will be a factor? So, does he need one of those wins in Seattle or Kansas City to get back to like the old, I'm MVP Cam, and we can shake off all of this like no one believed in me sort of rust?
Absolutely. Those first 2 games are going to be critical. If he can beat Miami and then beat Seattle, that'll give him all the confidence that he needs to face the LA Rams. So it's all set up for him. I think that getting off to a good start is going to be very important. But I would love to see Cam come out and just be Cam. Use his legs, use his arm, and use his mental abilities to lead his team to victory. If he's lined up behind the center, I must say that. So it's going to be a critical juncture, at the beginning of the season, especially over the next 2 weeks, too. If he can win this starting quarterback job, get him out there and see what he can do.
Some say that's a big if. Some say it's the smallest if ever. All right, let's move on to Patrick Mahomes now. Someone say he's already one of, if not the best quarterbacks in the league. Mahomes himself says, slow your roll. I can get even better. The defending Super Bowl MVP told CBS Sports, quote, I really have only been playing quarterback for 6 or 7 years. It's not like I've been playing for a very long time at the position. So I'm going to do whatever I can to try and get better and better at the fundamentals. Michael Vick, how much better can Patrick Mahomes really get?
Well, I think Patrick can get a lot better. What I feel like he learned in that playoff run was that if he uses mobility, because he can, that he can be a game changer. And in that Tennessee Titans game, he ran for more first downs than he probably did all season. So if he look back at, what he did accomplish last year, I think he can feel like he can build on what he did and as far as improvising. That was the biggest reason. I felt like they went all the way and won it all. So if he can strengthen that part of his game, then sky's the limit. And every quarterback, every year, always look at himself and say, what can I do to get better? I know I always tried to work on accuracy each and every year. As I evaluated my game and I look back, I said, okay, I was inaccurate for the first half of the season. I got better in the second half. That hasn't changed. So if you're not looking for something that you can get better at, then you're not striving to be the best that you can be at the respective position. And, for a guy who just went all the way, to say there's room for improvement, it's pretty scary for the rest of the National Football League.
Yeah.
Well, Michael, you referenced Mahomes' running ability in that Titans game. It's a bad job by me. I should have had our producers have the video. But I would argue that touchdown run he had right at the end of the first half against the Titans, when he scampered the sideline, took the hit, ends up giving the Chiefs the lead going into halftime. I think that's the most iconic quarterback run since your touchdown run against the Vikings in overtime. Was it the Vikings? I think it was the Vikings. Two guys ran into each other and you end up going into the end zone. It is, when people say, can Patrick Mahomes get better? I think it's really interesting that you focus on what he can do with his legs. Because as far as throwing numbers and eye test, through the first 35 games of his career, he's off to the greatest start we've ever seen from any player. His touchdown interception ratio, passer rating, all of it. And you just watch him and you say, okay, his arm talent is already a 99 out of 100. His accuracy is a 96 out of 100. His power is a 98 out of 100. So how much room for growth is there? But Mike's absolutely right. We never really saw him fully use his legs the way he did in the playoff run up to that point in his career. And as long as his arm stays the same, if you all of a sudden have to, instead of dead rush the passer, quarterback contain the passer, you're kind of drawing dead. To use a cross-sport analogy, it's the question people ask, what if Giannis develops a three? Well, the answer is then everyone's drawing dead. If Giannis, there's no way to guard it, right? And so when we've talked about this before, Mike, the best version of you, I always said, was the full year in Philly when you had both the legs and the arms were kind of fully functional, so to speak. And what you saw was there is no great defense for that style of quarterbacking, right?
No, that's correct. When you can bring those two elements to the table, beat the team with your arm and beat it with your ability to improvise and be mobile, then, you just make it that much more harder to stop you. And, you keep the defensive coordinators up all night because they can't really put a solid game plan in for you because you're going to defeat the defense 95% of the time. So it's just an advantage for Patrick Mahomes. And like I said, when I look back at what he's done, like you said, he's been on point in the passing game since he first stepped on the field. Now his ability to move the pocket, play outside of the pocket is going to get better and improve. And that just makes for a much more scarier Patrick Mahomes.
I know you guys are talking about pragmatic ways Mahomes can get better and Andy Reid can, make Mahomes better. But can we show the most interesting video of Patrick Mahomes that has come out this year? And it's not the one with him chugging a bunch of beers, Nick, that will lead you to the Super Bowl hangover and upset your dynasty. It's this behind-the-back pass, Mike.
Oh, yeah.
Mike, do you think this is a gimmick, or do you see this actually working in a game?
If somebody can pull it off, it's Patrick. Like, I've never seen a quarterback throw an accurate pass behind his back. I mean, a swing route, like, with a guy on the move, that's, like, unbelievable and so hard to do. But if it's one guy who can pull it off, it's Patrick Mahomes. We already seen him throw it with his left hand, so who knows what he can pull off.
Okay.
Oh, I bet he breaks that out this
I'm here
season.
for that.